Hey there, so today I want to return to Glassdoor. If you missed the other review, I would encourage you to check it out. It's about Image Comics and the reviews that people leave behind. This time we are going to look at Marvel Entertainment, and Marvel Entertainment, when you compare what was said about Image and that negativity to Marvel, that is like Image on steroids. Moreover, there are people that are saying that the positives here, they're actually just patter added by Marvel, and you know what? I could see that. I cannot say pro or con whether that's true, but it's very interesting that you have these positives pop in. They're very small, they're nondescript, and especially the ones that are glowing. You see them throughout years. We're not going to cover everything within this. We'll cover about a year, but still, when you look at that, it's amazing, and it's amazing to see what people are saying in the negative. Some of that stuff, it involves internal office issues, things like not even getting supplies, dilapidated equipment, not having trash cans, not having access to water. Then you see things that are commenting on management practices and the horrible working conditions. I find that to echo some sentimentality that Ethan Van Sciver said about when he was working there. I feel like that is on display time and again when people are reviewing here. It's very interesting to see when it's laid out like this. Also, when you're looking at reviews, remember people do typically review something from a place of anger. However, when you're looking at that, one side to think about on that is not really disparagement, but rather people being honest. They forget all of the decorum that they carry. There's no fear of repercussion because they're out the door. And a lot of times, even if they signed a contract where you can't disparage a company, well, they kind of omit that. You know, they're anonymous here, so what do they really care? It's a very interesting thing. So anyhow, let's get into it and let's check this out. Alright, so scrolling down, the first review that we hit, there's going to be an accusation of patter reviews. That's what the third, I believe, review will say, that people are going on as interns and they're reviewing the company to boost the score. Now just look at this and look at some of the reviews that we come across that are kind of small. Some of them are labeled things like intern and really compare and contrast there. Also, when there's an accusation of that, you know, when you're looking at things and they have no cons to mention at all, there's nothing thrown out there at all, that sometimes does look like it backs up that practice. Although, again, we can't prove that positively or negatively. But this simply entitles itself as good. I've been working at Marvel Entertainment less than a year. The pros, it's a very good company. There is nothing cons about the company. So that, I mean, it is a very positive one. If that is the person out there and their feelings, then they really love working there. Although some of the negatives we see later on, I really wonder how you could have that, how two people could have such a different experience within this same company. But anyhow, going on, the second one says it's a fine place to work. They've worked at Marvel Entertainment for less than a year. The pros are it's fun to constantly be surrounded by comics and comics related material. Staff is generally nice and easy to work with. I like that little caveat there, generally, because you know that word says you don't always have to be nice, and really is anyone, I guess, when we get down to it. Cons has more of a corporate atmosphere than you would expect from a comic book company. Very strict on keeping employees within their assigned roles. Not many opportunities to dabble in other departments and see how the rest of the company works. I'm going to think there's the word works there. Now it's interesting too. They're saying that Marvel keeps people in their assigned roles. They keep them in their lanes, as it were, but they can do that internally, but they can't manage that externally. It's very interesting. Now here's somebody claiming that the other reviews out there, the patter ones, they are literally patter. They are fake. Say fake reviews are phony. They do not like the company here. 1 out of 5 stars. Doesn't recommend, negative outlook, and disapproves the CEO. I've been working at Marvel Entertainment full-time more than 3 years. Pros, great brand that is very well known. Cons, just about everything else. This place is the absolute worst I've ever been, so much so that it's telling that they have interns on this site making fake reviews to drown out all the people telling the truth about how horrible this place is. Not classy at all, Marvel. Fix your company and your horrible HR department. That doesn't start start by covering up reviews. That type of arrogance is why word is starting to get out about what a horrible place it is to work. Lord. Advice to management. The extremely high level of arrogance being displayed over books is insane. Just about all of you need to take a class in how to treat humans with respect and dignity. Good luck getting down more interns to drown out the people telling the truth here. They've actually gotten 2 helpful votes with that too. I was going to look at this. No helpful votes for the other ones though, which is very interesting. Here's another one. Worst place in the entire world. Doesn't recommend, negative outlook, disapproves of CEO. I worked at Marvel Entertainment full-time, more than a year. Pros, Disneyland passes and the Disney perks and benefits. Cons, the onward and downward post is so spot on. I laughed at what an almost perfect review it is. That's going to be a treasure when we hit it. 100% true. Don't be fooled by the brand. Most employees crying knowing they really aren't part of the other side, aka real Disney company. Marvel is just a crummy, cheap, depressing division. A revolving door is an understatement. I've never seen so many people leave voluntarily or good, sweet people canned for no reasons. Sometimes those there for a few months. As others said, cheap, no supplies anywhere. You're literally told to bring your own stuff. Makes sense given how hated the CEO is and talked about internally and in the press. Just Google him and see how he is viewed in the industry. Donut Fridays for the whole office consist of 2 boxes because they aren't allowed to spend 1 penny over the few bucks they're given. Cockroach infested, nasty office space, a block from the beautiful Disney campus, although I think they're moving them to the lot. No one seems to be happy here, and no one seems to ever do anything of real work value. I had no idea what most people did all day. Meeting for the sake of meetings where nothing gets accomplished other than executives bashing how much they hated here and how they wish they were at Disney. I also knew many people making under $30,000, which is mind-blowing. Everyone has been pissed ever since Disney Studios took over the films, which were the heart and soul of the entire brand. Now, all Marveltainment is publishing, they put it NY, at the bad cartoons on Disney Cable. People are either really nice employees just stuck in this crap hole, or like others said, comic geek losers who don't know how to work in TV. But go ahead, keep making those awesome YouTube videos. Don't be fooled. If you want to work for Disney, skip this division altogether. Advice for management. You're all just terrible people, but Disney won't do anything about any of this, so who cares? Helpful. 7 votes. That is a terrible thing. And this will continue, by the way. This is a fun place here. Onward and downward. Doesn't recommend, negative outlook, disapproves of CEO. I worked at Marvel Entertainment full-time, more than a year. Pros, you work for a leading entertainment brand. By association, you work for a company with a much better reputation in Disney. If you like comics, you've reached nirvana in terms of access. You get Disney-driven benefits like an annual pass to the theme parks. Cons, where to begin? The New York office lacking trash cans at people's desks. The twilight zone that is compensation. I know several people making less than $30,000 working full-time jobs where overtime was expected. If you can survive in New York or Los Angeles that way, my hat is off to you. Marvel is managed with an outstanding degree of ineptitude. HR is a dead god. There are maybe 2 to 3 people running the department for the entire company. Much of the day-to-day function is handled by extremely questionable admin-level employees who basically wear 2 hats. Have a problem with your lack of training, questionably livable salary, or with your supervisor who is more platitude than man? Good luck. You will be attacked the moment you raise your hand. We've all seen too many good people forced out the door by vengeful supervisors with a pittance severance. Fine, you're a Spartan and you'll give up anything to work for Marvel because you grew up loving the cartoons and or comics. Get ready to back that up because you'll arrive at a desk that has best an older laptop and one working monitor. No mouse, no pens, no staples. Maybe if you're lucky, you have access to water. Not in New York, though. Then one night you'll realize IT didn't properly scrub your laptop prior to handing it over, and you'll find innumerable personal files, and in my case, several folders of pornographic material. Holy hell. If you're like me and you keep your space clean, I fear to tell you what you'll find the first time you try wiping down your equipment or workspace. Much of the management structure will astound you with how difficult and petty they can be. Whether that be ignored email, shouting matches on the phone, or just inept and uncaring people who seem to lack all social grace. I pushed for regular sync meetings over coffee, and these immediately devolved into 30-minute lectures and tired rants about everyone we work with, and of course myself. Pure hyperbole. We never discussed my work or how I might improve upon it. We never talked about my career or what my goals were, let alone how I might promote myself. The toxic culture has a slow poison effect. By the time I'd been with Marvel for a year, it felt like I'd experienced it in dog years. I was advised to, quote, never invite someone to a one-on-one where they have to walk, unquote. This sort of vacuous, quote-unquote, coaching is what you can expect in terms of feedback. In short, you're never doing well and you're probably coasting through life on your talent. Does that mean you need to work more hours, build bridges with key people, change your approach to reporting? No one knows. There are no relevant work-related items worthy of feedback, but you'll receive a steady stream of negativity regarding life and work from leaders who show up at 10 and are home by 4. Marvel promotes a progressive ideology regarding gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation to the public, but the exact opposite is what you'll find behind the aging doors at their office. I think half of the slurs I've heard in my life were yelled into midair at Marvel. It was all supposed to be funny, of course, except that it basically never was. Everyone at Marvel has something to say about everyone else, and if that sounds like high school, well, not a coincidence. As a woman, I would say that it felt like an inhospitable and barely safe place to work. Whoops on that there, for real. Marvel is something of a misnomer. The films and much of the consumer product suite are governed by Disney. Marvel Entertainment is essentially the leftovers, a fact-checking brand assurance company boasting all of the excitement of a small insurance office. While the comics are perhaps best known, the modern quality is embarrassing. No joke there. Marvel keeps a busy trade show calendar, and like clockwork, each show tended to coincide with a public gaffe. Yeah, so they basically are always trying to correct their image. With brevity, almost all companies include some folks that can be unpleasant either as supervisors or coworkers, but few of them can match Marvel top to bottom. If hearing a kind and likable coworker fired loudly and after about 7 weeks on the job while being told that the company doesn't hire stupid or lazy people bothers you as much as it did me, then you, like me, will likely be better off almost anywhere else. You need only read a few other reviews here or to Google around to discover the depths at which Marvel is currently residing. Advice to management. To Disney, take note that Marvel is riding on your coattails of your successful acquisition. The culture is a travesty and unrepresentative of Disney in almost every way possible. Much of the work is redundant, and the business could be run a lot more efficiently were it to be consolidated, as the studio was, into Disney proper. As a licensing business, revenues are essentially what they are, meaning that this could be managed equally well or better for much less cost. Look no farther than the recent promotional partnerships Marvel has embraced via a highly questionable process to see that the brand is progressively progressively being watered down and devalued by a shotgun approach. Question how Marvel will remain profitable under its current management with Netflix content underperforming, and leadership that believes it is in competition with its Disney partners. Wow, that is a very, very telling review. Here's another one from August. Not all it's cracked up to be. Pros, friendly coworkers, free movie screenings, Disney perks. Cons, meager salary, narcissistic hiring practices, revolving door of employment, penny pinching practices. Advice, instead of looking outside the company to fill positions, look at promoting current employees. God knows we're looking for opportunities to move up in our careers. Also, give us back our desk trash cans. Man, what is up with you and your trash can thing? Another one from August. How do you get past HR? Look at some of these here. They recommend and have a positive outlook and stuff, and yet they have a 2-star here. You can see the breakdowns of that too. Maybe we should cover the breakdowns, but I think you get a picture of what's saying. I worked at Marvel Entertainment full time, more than a year. Pros, Marvel was a great time for the most part. Lots of perks and benefits. Cons, HR is terrible. Get more HR people or take out the current head. Fix the iconic HR situation. How I got through the door was only a miracle. Here's another one talking about digital comics. They got 3 of 5. Their pros were lots of opportunities to work on actual products, nice incentives. Con, unhappy atmosphere, stagnant management, bad follow-up. Advice, create better company culture by making employees happier instead of just riding on the brand. Here, one called Intern. They have their pros listed as established comic company with talent and creative people. Cons, no office perks, very bland, feels like an insurance company instead of an entertainment company. Pay is low, and Marvel as a business is very cheap, especially when it comes to the comic division. Advice, pay higher salaries to keep talent. IT department could be vastly improved. Don't put so much restrictions on employees. Here's a nice one from April that just says simply, do not work here. I worked at Marvel Entertainment full time, more than a year. Pros, you will meet a lot of nice people. Disney benefits are amazing. This is probably the reason people chose to stay. Cons, employees are not valued, paid significantly less than industry standards. You will have to bring your own office supplies. The computers are extremely old. No coffee or tea or water. Water machines barely work properly. Very high turnover rate. No career advancement. Rare to see anyone ever get promoted. Please treat people with respect as part of your advice to management. Invest in your employees. This is amazing stuff to continue to see. It's insane here. So let's go look at another page worth of fun here. Now, going through here, vpmarvel.com. I work there. I worked at Marvel full time. Pros, who wouldn't want to work for the premier comic company in the world? Cons, political nature of management creates stress. So you can see the cons here are so many things that you can see on the outside. You know that there are problems. Advice to management, resist the focus on money and stay true to the creative roots of the company. Here's a positive. Intern. Pros, great culture, mentors who are always ready to answer any questions. Cons, some downtime between projects, but all interns are working closely to each other, so we often speak to each other about what we're working on. And the last one for the year, a good, not great place to work. Pros, they're a successful company, so you know they're not going to go bankrupt anytime soon. Ultimately, they know what they're doing. Yeah, they know because they sold to Disney. Basically, Disney knows what it's doing. Anyhow, I digress. Cons, they are consistently under market on salary and budgets and have a culture of unnecessary witch hunts when things go wrong. Too many cooks in the kitchen and too many meetings. Overall, not a great work culture. Advice to management, put your employees above the bottom line. All right, so at least that is a small taste of what's here to offer. If people really want to go through year after year, what we can do is stack each year and look at them because we're talking about 20 minutes just to go through one year. I'm willing to go through each year, looking at them if enough people want to, but I still think that this paints an interesting picture. It talks about the climate that you've seen for a while now and some of the issues that have burdened this company and what we've seen from the outside being reflective of what's on the inside. It is amazing to have this type of look there. Now, I'm sure Marvel would come out and spin this a certain way, but when you look at a lot of these reviews too, and you look at the rating and how it's as high as it is, I do honestly believe that they are padding that review number. I think all of the intern ones, you see that when you keep rolling backward. You see short ones that come in when these longer negative ones do, trying to truly obfuscate what's going on there. That's how it feels to me. Of course, I have no proof of that. It's just one of those business practices when people bring that up and throw it in the limelight, and you know that they have interns and they worry about their image. That is a standard fair practice that you do see from some companies, especially negative companies. They need to keep the bodies hitting the chairs, and they need to keep pushing the myth that you're going to come in and you're going to make your comic dreams come true. Anyhow, I think this is a good place to quit this. Man, what a world when you look at comic companies from the inside. Thanks.